Cunningham Piano. We're a company that's been around in this area since 1891. So I'm a very old man. George Gershwin, actually, one of our claims to fame is that he wrote Porgy and Bess on a Cunningham upright piano. So we've been in the Philadelphia area. We're the Yamaha Dealer of the Year. Very, very excited to provide pianos and opportunities for people to learn about the pianos. It's the most beautiful instrument in the world. And a couple of facts I love to share with parents and young kids. And I want to congratulate your parents for being dedicated to having your children pursue piano and working with wonderful teachers like James. I mean, this is fantastic to have this incredible opportunity to work with a master teacher like Candace here. I don't know if you know this, but 70% of people who work at Google, Facebook, Microsoft have all taken piano lessons. Playing the piano, because this is one of the only instruments when you're doing two very different but equally challenging things, different things at the same time with both hands. Each hand stimulates the opposite brain hemisphere. Neuroscientists have identified that playing the piano is one of the healthiest things you can do for your brain. And as a result, whether you decide to pursue a career in piano or not, it's almost irrelevant. If you play the piano, you're going to actually become better at everything. Better at math, better at English, better at science, better at art. That's why so many people who are in technology or in doctor, medicine, or law, they play the piano because it stimulates their brain. So it's one of the healthiest things you can do. Of course, one of these things, just to do this kind of a presentation and class and performance, you learn confidence. You learn to be able to communicate and connect with other people. That gives you a tremendous advantage throughout your entire life. So I want to congratulate James and Candace for really spending their time to help you guys achieve new levels of success. So if you have any questions, or if you want to grab, my card is back there. Feel free to grab a card from the card stack in one of the desks over there. More than happy to help. We, of course, we carry Yamaha, we also carry Blissendorfer, and I don't know if you know about Cunningham Piano. We have our own pianos as well, but we also rebuild old pianos. So we take old pianos, we specialize in taking pianos like this Steinway over here, this Steinway over there. By the way, this Steinway over here, can anybody guess how old this piano is over here? Any wild guesses? This was originally built in 1910. So we take old pianos, sorry about this.
Cheated and looked inside and looked for the serial number.
So we take old pianos, make the sound and look brand new. So we still have our old factory in Germantown, where we have one of the few places in the country where people actually send their pianos to have them completely rebuilt and restored by hand, by all of our artisans and such. So again, welcome. You get an opportunity to play about $250,000 worth of pianos right here and to have that experience and see what a really great piano can sound like. So enjoy the experience. Again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Do you need to introduce anything, or are you good?
I'm good.
You're good. Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Candace. I am so excited to meet you guys. James has said so many wonderful things about all of you and your families, and I'm just really happy that I get to share this experience with you. I'd like to put it out there, I will not eat anyone. I promise I'm not as terrifying as my energy feels. It is a lot of energy. So most importantly, I think I want you to feel comfortable. I will probably steal that seat after all, because I want to see not only what you're playing, how you're playing, but also your technique. And we'll be able to talk too. So if you feel shy, cool. If you don't feel shy, also cool. Let's talk about it. Because it's also that speaking and verbalizing is such an important part of music performance. When you bring something out into the world, you're already trying to communicate non-verbally. But for the audience that's listening to you, I want you to feel equally comfortable talking to them about your music and you and your journey in music as well. So without further ado, let's start. I'm excited to hear, let's have Allison, right? Yay. Here, let's shake hands. How old are you? You're 13, and how long have you been playing? I don't know. I'm just around.
Like
4? Cool. Tell me the one thing you like most and hate most about your piece.
nervous.
She doesn't get nervous. She doesn't have feelings. All right. So one thing you like most about your piece?
I like the contrast between like the loud and soft parts.
One thing you hate most? Be honest. We all have something we hate. The trills. Okay. That's an honest answer. But whenever you're ready, get yourself comfy, adjust your bench, right? And then we'll just hear your Mozart all the way through. So like your two note slurs, really excellent, right? They really have that very classical gesture, and overall, I think you really have a nice understanding of what the form is and kind of just the context. I think we could go back a few steps farther. Tell me what you know about Mozart, and I mean that in a very general sense. So if you feel like you don't really have the right facts, that's okay. I'm going to help you fill them in. All right. So tell me what you feel is special about Mozart that makes his style or makes his voice distinct from other composers. Yeah, I agree. So he definitely had more. So he definitely enjoyed an actual piano. What else? So he was definitely, yeah, that prodigy whole aspect, right? Being able to be really virtuosic about it. Okay. Do you know what his favorite things to compose were? Do you know what his least favorite thing to compose was for? He hated violin because his dad played violin, so he hated composing for violin. All right. But the two things he really composed most for, the thing that he loved most was opera, and the thing that he ended up being, I think, more well known for are his orchestral works, even more so than piano stuff. So, tell me about both. Tell me about do you know any Mozart operas? No? Ever heard of the Magic Flute? Yeah, that's Mozart. And what do you think, how would that translate to what you're playing? What kind of thing in opera or rules in opera would you see correlated to something with a lot of contrast? So taking time to sing notes, absolutely. What else? Lots of different characters, right? Think about how many characters are in Magic Flute. So I think a lot of what I wonder about for the next step of musical polishing for this is a lot of why. There are a couple places I want to help you out with a couple little technical fixes, but I do want you to start thinking about why you're doing certain things and what, if it's just left hand, right hand, I mean, technically that's just two voices, but you actually have more characters on stage at any point in time than anywhere else. So, first of all, actually, tell me one more thing. Was there anywhere you felt like, wasn't as good as I wanted to, I just want a second shot? It's okay if you do. Alright, let's talk about that. Where did you get uncomfortable? Okay, so somewhere in there. So I scribbled on top of it, voicing. Why would I write that? Tell me about the stem direction here and why it's that way. Why? Or could it be the other way around? Are these the same in importance, or do you think they're different in importance? Different. Okay, I want you to play your right hand here for me, and I think you could try this one way. You could have choice, right? You can make your right hand a lot more, or you can make your left hand a lot more. But I want to make your inner voice a lot more. But I want you to pretend that they're two different characters. Right? This one is holding on and sustaining, so you should hear them kind of talk over each other for just a moment. Do you want to get into that? In the right part of the piano. I'm just reaching above you. You're holding. Yeah, so now I hear two characters. Does that kind of make sense? Oh yeah, there's your
Just in
music
case you want it.
Yeah, I know, tiny things. So then you have a third character, two are in agreement, and one are not. So when you have this again, you can actually have a choice. Which voice do you want to bring out the first time? Do you want to bring out the top voice, the middle voice, or the bottom voice? But you have a choice every time, right? Cool, so that's one thing. And I have another spot. Yes, there's another one. Why? Why is that forte? So as I go throughout here, I think a lot of what I had to ask was, why are we doing that? So for example, let's start with the very beginning. We're Allegro. What kind of Allegro is this? Allegro is fast. Is this like driving down the highway fast? Is this a fast walk through the park? Is this, what kind of fast are we talking? Fast walk through the park? Is this fast walk in like the city where you could get bowled over? Or is this just like fast chill, like on a bike? So what's the fast? Let's be more specific. Okay. Can you give me more? Let's imagine walking through the park. And I want you to have your first phrase simple and beautiful of walking through the park. So don't even think so much about like, am I doing the right things? I want you to communicate walking through the park. Show me your trees, your flowers, the nice weather. All right? Let's do the first phrase. You can start from the beginning. Do you feel like that was different for you? Yeah? I felt like you still did everything on the page, right? You did everything, but now there was more of yourself, and I think you can always add more of that. So that was a nice walk through the park. Then, why do you think this part was forte? What could have happened on your walk through the park? It doesn't have to make sense. It could be something totally wacky. Pancakes drop out of the sky. I don't know. What do you think? Is this, do you think the quality of this sound and where it is in the phrase feels like thunder, and then to follow it up with the piano after that? Oops. Maybe, but maybe there you might have some contrast, right? So if you want thunder, why don't we jump here? And let's give me nice big thunder. And I'm going to talk to you about these octaves in just a second. Cool. How do you feel about that? Lots of thunder or like mid? Mid. I agree. Okay. So when we want a musical decision, you need to work backwards. So first, now you've made some musical decisions about what you want, but then we need to work backwards to see what technical things we need to do. Because you don't just will things to be forte, right? You don't just be like, I want this forte, so then it's just gonna happen, right? You can't. So what do you need in your fingers to create a strong, sudden sound? In your right hand, for example, how do you get something a little more strong, a little more robust? How? Should you add force via your arm? Should you do it via your finger strength? There's lots of choices here. You could. Let's add in one idea. Anytime you have this back and forth, I want you to start using a little wrist rotation. As soon as I get off the key, right, I have a lot more space to drop. So the same principle stays with your arm and using arm weight that you lift and drop. And then, now I'm going to play it right on your shoulder here. What do you feel from my fingertip? Is it, what was that? Was it mushy or focused? Yeah, so the first one is much more focused. Let's try this with a little focused finger. Think about poking someone with a pointy end. You don't want to get them with the flat end or the non-pointy end, okay? And add a little relaxed wrist and a little wrist rotation. See if you can get a nice bottom of the key sound for me. Yeah, sure. Sounds different to you? Do you think you can give me a little more pop on each one? Let's keep going. The next one. Let's keep going. Yes, so is there anything wrong with actually physically leaving the key? No. You're still going to maintain your position, right? All you're doing those octaves? How do you feel about them? Good? Like actually good or like good? Good? Oh boy. Okay. Do you think the thunderstorm's strong yet? Not yet. Okay. So here's my whole trick with octaves. Octaves are not hard. Everybody thinks octaves are hard. They're not hard. Okay? Because you need to use the right part of your hand. Okay? What's the heaviest part of your hand? In comparison to your fingers. Your thumb. Did you know your thumb is all of this muscle? Yes? Genuinely? Or like, okay, cool. So, I want you to try this for me. And you're going to rotate your thumb and drop it into the key. You're dropping the whole side of your thumb. Whatever it is, yeah? So, I want you to do this whole section for me. And I'll pull it up for you and turn it. Let's do this with just your thumbs. And I want you to feel a little bit of rotation and drop. Okay? Let's just do that with your thumbs. Relax. Okay, keep going. So it's just yeah. Good, keep going. Now you can drop harder or get more. Ah, there's this in your sound. Good, keep going. You made a nice crescendo with just your thumb. Was that easier or harder than before? Because it's just one finger. It's still just one finger. When you have an octave, make sure your arm is centered in a way that this energy will take down those fingers, right? So this rotation has enough. Your pinky does nothing. It's just weak. It's just there. These bottom strings are so big and so huge, they're gonna resonate as soon as they're played, right? The most important is to keep your thumb as the guide point. Can we try that? Keep that same focus thumb. Yes. Focus here. This is your guide point. Keep going. Rotate. Rotate. Yes. Yes. So my whole thing with that though, and also you're 13, you're going to change this. If you can't do a 4, don't do a 4. Do whatever he tells you. Or do what James tells you. But if you feel uncomfortable and you feel like you're being pulled, remember our arm wants to stay centered here. So we're pulling this way. We don't walk around with this angle on our arm, do we? Looks super awkward. Yeah? So if you're 1-4, you still want to be behind your hand. So I think that'll be something that you can really clean up nicely. Overall, see there's another place where you can actually get more of your Allegro speed, your nice walking part with rotation. And same thing. When you have all these joint songs, they've got to mean something. So the things I think will take this to the next level for you, the first thing, I think making a decision about what your character is and what you're doing. It can be via a movie. It doesn't have to be verbal. It can just be how you feel, of course. But then, also, why are these things seven? What's happening? If you've made a decision there, then you can go back and say, okay, well, if I want this, I can use this tool, and this tool to get that kind of sound. Sort of, yes? All right. Are we
Yeah, you're good.
I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you know when it's 5
Okay.
minutes.
All right. So same thing through here, piano and forte. If I'm going to use a different analogy with you, would you think that these are the same instrument or different instruments in orchestra? What two instruments would you think, or what groups of instruments would you think? There's no wrong answer. It's what you think might be. If you were thinking that. Okay, let's start somewhere where you feel comfortable, and let's get it. Let's get into that, and show me my whole orchestra, and then here I put a slur over top of these because forte is like saying it's blue. Is it the same blue the whole time? It's probably constant, right? Yeah. Can you try to make sure that we have a dialogue, and then our scene is then in our opera is then moving towards something else. Right? Where's a good place for you to start? Do you start at the top of the page and then start somewhere else? Okay. Yeah, and then you'd have to work yourself back out, right? But that already has a lot more shape. I think away from the things on the page, you also have your own opinion. So that's definitely something. You said you were concerned about this trip. Okay. So I'm gonna come over this side. I'm gonna fuss with your wrist. So how do you get to your arm? You have to have some sort of relaxed wrist. What has James told you about adjusting the bench? Anything? That's a lie. I know you've said something.
What's
So
his face?
stand up. You're tall. I'm gonna wind you down. I happen to like down because then you're at a point where you can have like a little. You know how little kids are really loud whenever they play piano, and it's just they make a lot of noise. It's because it's all this gravity weight. So you're pulling in, all right, and you have room for your wrist to raise and lower and create shapes. Now you have a three-dimensional place in which you can. How's that? Yeah, stand up. How tall are you? You're 5 feet, but you're tall enough. Yeah, it looks better to me. Okay. So now I want you to think that with a trill, you need something that gives you enough energy to power all those notes, right? And if we're moving fast, are we tense or relaxed? What do you think? Should you be? When you run really fast, do you really want to be holding everything really muscularly tense? No, so we need to be somewhat relaxed. So the first thing we need to think if we have skill mark is to get a trill. And I want you just to do that for me, just to wiggle. Right? And so let it happen. You gotta put your hand on top of it. I want you to feel what this feels like. Do you feel all this moving? That's my wrist. Okay? So I want you to think that your trill is left from here. Relax, relax, relax. Your elbow is fine. Right? You don't need to hold your arm out there. You can line up your arm. So just try. So now I want you to try this. I want you to give us a little bit of throw. Just like a pick up and drop. Yeah, there you go. So now you have enough energy, downward motion, to power something relaxed. And there it is. Because you don't have that much time. Right? So let's try that in context. Do you see, now this slur will also help you technically. Pick up and give yourself a little pop. Try that. Yeah, there you go. And stay loose. Do the next one. A little hair more movement. Yeah, does that feel better? Yeah. So the way I typically mark this, I would have a little up and then down, right? Downward motion is more weight, downward motion is more action, right? You have beautiful ups. Your ups are release the key beautifully. But for you, I think the thing that we need to think about is also more down, okay? So through here, that was all. Two, three. What happened in that transition? Did it feel weird to you? Okay. So what? I mean, you played everything, right? So what kind of problem is that then? If you played it, it felt weird, but like you played it, and technically everything was fine. What kind of problem are we talking about? Rhythm. I know this is the end section. 1, 2, 3, 1. I really, really feel like you need to establish that. Alright? So, and I kind of lost them. We just kind of hovered in midair. Oh, and then we're starting again, right? And that's what makes this feel kind of weird. So that's why I wrote pulse there. Do you want to try that, or do you think that's something you can fix on your own? Okay, from where? There? Okay. I just noticed this too. Do you need this note after you're done? So close your hand and part of staying relaxed. You can rotate that note. And then release it. Let's try that. Release. Yeah, relax your hand. Yeah. Now you don't have to work it. Now do it slightly faster. Things happen with momentum. Momentum is helpful here. Let's try to turn that. Yay! That's a lot better, right? That feels better? Let's try it. 2, 3. Got you there. All right. So there's 2 bars. Let's do that again. This time since we're going on, I know you were thinking about this. I'll count for you, and let's make sure we really establish that beat. 1, and then we have down. 1, 2, 3. You still came in on 3, my friend. Can you count it? I want you to count it, and then you're going to come in on what number? Yeah. That's fine. Take a second shot. 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, so wait, then why did my counting have to change there? So what happened? I'm gonna do it you. I'm gonna do it Allison. I'll just come up here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. I'm exaggerating. What did you notice? Because it's easier? So, I mean, I like all of your tempi, but maybe we should have one, right? Okay, so then that's why this feels weird, because it literally is almost a completely different piece. And then right here we had to readjust, right? So I would do a couple, so what do you think? Should this be slower, or do you think the beginning needs to be more? We went backwards to that one. But do you see how your relationship there didn't really make sense? Let's come back. Let's play it again. At your tempo, right? 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Then I'm gonna start you on the recap. 1, 2. So somewhere in your recap, let's start. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, Yeah, kind of, right? They have to make sense with each other. Okay, overall, lots of good things, and obviously you don't need me to do the recap with you because there's a lot of simple things, right? Excellent job, it was such a pleasure hearing you. Let's give her a round of applause. All right, who's my next victim?
Oh.
I say that too.
Huh?
I say the same thing.
I know, you got it from me because I used to torture you the same way. Hi, my name's Candace, and you are? Erin, good to meet you. How's everything? Good? More or less? Okay. And you're how old? 16, so a junior this year. Next year. Oh, right. And, cool. So Bach. Yeah? Tell me what you like most about Bach.
It doesn't have markings, so you can kind of get through it.
Oh, I'm excited about this then. That sounds like a really fun time. I'm really excited about that, and we can definitely talk a lot about that. What do you hate most about Bach?
If you mess up, kind of like get lost.
Sure, that's also a really, really, really legitimate thing. I totally agree, and I think across the board, even for professionals, Bach is the hardest thing to play. So you are a brave, brave man taking us on today. Anything you want me to know before we start? Okay. All right. Well, the stage is all yours. Mark them on your actual music if that's something that I want you to have as much say as possible first. So what is your doesn't have to pretend. Is that what you personally want? Yeah, okay. Alright. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how successful was that time that you did? If you had to objectively listen to yourself. Like a 6. Why 6? Well, good. That's a solid number. Isn't that a really tough thing? That's what I think performing is so hard now. I have dogs, so we always talk about our dogs in the moment. And music is very much like that. When we're performing, the best performances where we're the most focused, we stay absolutely in the moment. We cannot go one step too far or dwell on what memory is excellent, right? I think what we need to think about is how this music is organized. Because it kind of now sounds like a run-on sentence. So obviously with your two voices, each thing has a different priority. What's going to be most important for us to hear as an audience? If you were listening to it, what would you think? Okay, and how do we sectionalize a piece like Bach? Because again, run-on sentence problems, right? So what do we call this bit that we kind of hear all the What is that? Why does that keep coming back? So, if it's not the theme, what should happen? The other hand should. Yep, it should shut. That's what it needs to do, right? So then, when you have a sequence, then you have room, right? Also, here's another thought for you. Is this one phrase or a bunch of groups? What do you think? Are you saying that because you think you want that? You think I want to hear that? Okay, so different editions will tell you different things. So I want you to make the executive decision here. Play it in little sections, right? Like you have different instrumentation in sections. And then I want you to take the theme again and I want you to play it like it's one phrase. You're going to tell me which one you like better. So this is the first version. Okay, so which one was that? Long phrase or groups? Okay, so play it with one long phrase. Okay, which one did you like better? The phrase? Votes out there? Do you want to hear them again? We're going to have you guys vote. All right, popular vote time. So you're going to do one as a section. Do the first one that you did. Now the second one. Okay, hands for one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, hands for 2. Long phrase. Oh, I see overwhelming majority for long phrase. I also agree. Okay, but again, I think there's short and long phrases in there, right? So there are little snippets that you want to bring out because they're short. So then show me this. I want you to give me the same long phrase in the left hand. I just want to see that one more time. Not because your phrasing was weird. I just want to see it. Okay. Can I suggest one thing to you? And I see this across the board with your writings. And I think I talk about this all the time, so I don't even remember if I talked about this with James at some point. What is the part that makes your fingers as liberally moving as they are? It's our knuckle, right? Do you know the pianist Vladimir Horowitz? Very famous. Look him up. Recordings are great. You're gonna have the best time. Listen to Stars and Stripes Forever. You're gonna die. Okay. So anyway, he almost plays like this. He has huge hands, much like you. Are you still growing a little bit? So nice long fingers, big hands. And when we say round, it kind of makes him overcurve a little bit. But what we want to think about is that you have this. Think about typing, and that you just want fingers fall. Just do this for me. Yeah, you see how you have great, nice, loose fingers. So as you play this, instead target them and hit them and grab them, can we think about dropping, just dropping each finger in? Can we try that? And I want you to feel a little bit of action from there. Okay, I see. Look at your hand position now. Where is your contact? So I like to use this too. We have a contact point in our finger. Does it make a difference where we touch? Yeah. Is there a sound difference? What kind of? Yeah, it can be, right? It's a little more dense, right? Is this kind of sound that we're looking for? So as you have that natural curvature in your hand, look, oh, and he's relaxed, amazing. Look, here's you. This is your relaxed hand. Welcome to your round hand position. It's already there, right? So, you are another person I'm going to move with you. Sitting, stand up. No, like not that far back. I'm literally going to move you back a half inch. I want you to feel middle dots, and I want you to feel the leverage in your left foot. All right. This way you can just kind of hang on. Let's see if that looks better. Yeah, you have such long arms, so this will just hang. That's perfect. You're so relaxed. I love it. Okay. So now feel like as we build a little more, so you see that there's your motion. As I'm going from there. Now, of course, then you can't be all floopy, right? So I like to explain this idea of this relaxation can extend to this, okay? It's like a phone charger. Your power bank is here. This is your wire. I don't care that you have an elbow. Wires don't have elbows, right? So this has to be loose. This is relaxed. We can stand to be more relaxed, right? The joint, right? But this is also where a lot of, yeah. And then this is the tip that plugs into your phone. And if that's the tip, we can't be wishy-washy with that. You're gonna hear that click as your finger like plugs into the phone. So let's try that again. And feel like you drop that free finger right onto that perfect contact point. Yeah, keep going. I feel like it sounds a little bit cleaner, right? It just has a more full sound. It's more of your actual sound. Because everybody, every person, because you're built differently, has more of an interesting sound. Did that feel different? Can we try feeling something different a lot more? So really think, it's wrong. There. So, there's a little bit of impact. So you really kind of picking up, throwing the finger with every, yeah. You can still connect, you can still play legato, but there needs to be a little bit of finger strength coming in. Focus your sound. I got it. Yeah. Again, more focused sound. So we're getting your sound to focus more and more. What was Bach's instrument that he composed on, primarily? Harpsichord. And what did it sound like? Have you listened to it or played on it? What was it like for you? I completely, by the way, agree with that statement. It is the weirdest, most disconcerting thing. It sounds very brittle, right? And do you remember why? It's the quill plucking the string. Instead of a hammer striking the string, it's a quill plucking the string. So to kind of play a Bach kind of floopy never really gets to Bach, right? We never really get to access what Bach was maybe in harp section. Thank you. Instead, we were just kind of paddling around with our run-on sentence. So On a technical side, I think the first thing we need to think about for you is finding that nice contact point and working up some finger strength. Finger strength means that all this is relaxed, so I'm gonna give you one thing, and that you can practice anything with finger strength. It is boring yet annoying. It will annoy everyone in your house. Okay? You don't need a lot of brain power for this. Let's pick somewhere where you feel weird. Where you feel weird playing. Like always that part where you go, oh no, not that part. Yeah, okay. Let's start from 2. What I want you to do, you're gonna keep everything on the key. Right, you're gonna lift, and you can't leave everything else. You just can't lift anything else. It's just that finger. You're gonna lift it basically back as far as you can go, and then and make sure you land with a nice position. All right, next finger, 1. Second, next finger, lift all the way up. Next finger, all the way up. Right? So it is that slow because you want to make sure you're absolutely lifted all the way. This is not musical or fun. It's just annoying and loud. Let's see how annoying and loud you can be. Let's start from the E flat. Chew on E flat. Oh, come on, you can lift higher than that. Up, go! Up, 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 up. Throw it. Big, land it flat. Can you make sure you land there? See, you have such a nice big finger pad. You have bigger fingers than me. Up and throw. Ooh, you see how that takes a little more effort. Okay, next one. Lift your 1, prep it to where it needs to be, and throw. Is that the full sound you can give me? That's good. All right, fine. We'll keep going. Next finger. Up, 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 up. Up. Now throw it hard. Come on. You're 16. Come on. You got meat on your bones here. Did you hear that click? That pop as your finger hit the key? Congratulations. That's actual finger strength. Literally, you're gonna feel slightly sore afterwards, okay? Keep going. What's the next? Lift, 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 up, 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 up. Yeah, go for it. Flat. So backwards. Up, 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 up. Energize. There you go, getting there. Prepare. Rotate. That's a rotation. Ready? Lift, 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 lift. Drop. Yes. Next. Up, 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 up. Yeah. Okay. Next finger. Up, 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 up. 3. Right. So this is not fun. We're not even going to see results of this today. This is not a magic trick, unfortunately, and it will not solve some of the stuff we're talking about, such as instant. But finger strength for you is going to be really, really key in building up. I mean, you have great hands for this, but you do need the muscle. Interesting fact, our muscles don't start until here. The rest of our fingers are just skin and bones. So this is all, the first 2 joints of our hand are just skin and bone. We have 7 muscles starting here. So, I mean, they kind of need strength, right? I know we haven't been playing that long, but this is how we get big sound. Accuracy, right? So those are the things that I would really like to see because you have, everything else is super relaxed, but we need focus in your sound. When you poke someone with a pencil, poke them with the pointy end. You don't poke them with the eraser end. Not the same effect, okay? So I think those are the kind of the important points. I want you, and I bet it is on your music. Do you have marked out where all your themes are in a color? Yes. What practice strategy have you done with those colors to bring out, to make sure each hand has a voice and has a say? So just straight hand separate? Can I have you do the following? I want you to play each theme joining each other. So for example, I want to hear right hand theme, then left hand theme. And you jump in, you have to switch hands every time you find it important. Okay, let's try it. I know you don't have those markings here, but I want to see your opinion too. Adjustment by the way. And what's next? No opinion? What do you think we should hear next? Is it a 16th note passage, or is it an 8th note passage? Out of these two voices, what's going to be the thing you want to hear about? Look, I'm not going to say there's a wrong answer. You just have to pick something. So you think the left hand here is more important? So let's try and get into that, and let's see if that's the melodic passage that you want to hear. Okay, let's switch. Do you think that's the singable melody that people are wanting to hear after you played it by itself? Do you want to switch and see if the other hand is better? Oh, that sounds a little more interesting. So you see how it goes from here to here to, and then you pass it to here, right? So why don't you try that for me? I want you to play this, join it with your left hand, and then as soon as you're playing this in rhythm, by the way, then joining it with your right hand. And then you're gonna hop over to whatever you think is important there. So we should have a continuous thread that goes through your hands. Try that. So you're starting with just right hand. So here's another question for you. Does this phrase start here? Or do you think it starts there? Could go either way, right? So is this left over from here, or is it continuing to there? Well, commas and periods are important when we talk, right? So it's the same kind of thing. You want to know what kind of punctuation this is. So almost I would have done, for me, I would have gone right? Like join there, right? But now, I'm going to challenge you, as you join in this voice, I want you to draw out and just play it silently while you play your left hand. Let's try that. So you're going to start with your right hand, and then you're going to drop your right hand completely out. You're just going to touch it, but not actually make sound while you're playing. That was interesting. What was your instinct with your left hand? Just start pulling away from your sound, right? Not letting it really be in the key, right? So why did I have you do that? Because this is going to be like that, right? Same thing here. This is going to have to disappear. So now, you do the same thing, same phrase again. Fortissimo, as soon as you get into this tray, pianissimo in your right hand. I want two totally different things in each hand. That's tricky. Let's see if it can happen. eyebrow wrinkle. What are you thinking? What are you thinking about? What was different about that? Or what you heard? Well, I think it's because it's a really interesting spot. But that's really good for you to notice too, because when you don't want that, that's gonna be really important. Be like, no, never mind, I really don't want that to happen, right? So you can make choices, but I think that's gonna be a really important thing. So to summarize, I think here are the two things that we need to think about. Technically, you are so tall you need to sit slightly farther away. Also, you're more leg than torso. So your legs are long, you kind of need that distance. Okay?
Sorry, buddy. That's for me.
You know. Blame your parents for all the genetics. All right. We need to work on finger strength. Okay. So overall, just more focus in the finger, having good contact point, really releasing and throwing from the knuckle. Everything else of yours is so relaxed, it's gonna come along with you and produce that arm weight. Your arm weight is passive, so you're not forcing anything, but you have to let this actually do its job and be focused. And then prioritizing each frame so you know what you want to hear. Have a very distinct hierarchy. This is more, this is less. Let's switch it. This is more, this is less. I think those are the biggest things that we can take away from this. By the way, I have to compliment you on your excellent adjustment. As we went back to the beginning, I noticed that you were really thinking about getting to the contact point of every finger and like really thinking about it from the knuckle. So that was a really wonderful adjustment. I think you sound difference right away. All right. It was a pleasure hearing you. Lots of great things. Keep going. Yay.
Do you need a break, Candace, or you okay?
How is everybody else doing?
How's everybody else?
How's everybody else?
How's everybody
Do you
else
want a
doing?
second to like for those who need to wiggle? Want to take a 5?
Yeah.
Wander around in a circle, have a drink of water, and then come back.
Yeah, let's do
that.
it.